Greetings, one and all, and welcome to our Picard review here on Mornings of Mischief. I'm your host, Stone Loki. Good morning, everybody. Ryan's waving in the background like, hi, everybody. How's it going? What's going on? I'm like Granny off the Beverly Hillbillies. How y'all doing? Y'all come back now, you hear?
Well, that's because he's got a 5-hour head start on us. It's at the afternoon for him.
Yes, it is 2 o'clock. It is 2 o'clock. And I've spent the past half an hour doing my hair to no avail, so...
He has. Every time I look back in the green room, he's like, grooming. Yes, I'm British and I'm grooming my hair. Hello, everyone. I've got a mirror right here. The Adonis, Ryan Roger Athe. Athe. I say Athe, you say Athe, I say potato, and you say potato. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is having a great one. It's Friday. Yeah! And it is the end of the week, and we're going to be talking about Star Trek Picard. Obviously, we've already covered Ryan because Ryan's the star, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the star. I must be groomed. My hair must be looking perfect. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille. And then to his right is the lady, Arwen Avalon. Good morning. How are you doing? I hope you're feeling better. You've been down lately.
Oh my God. Yes. It feels so good to be back. I spent a week in sick. And it's still a little bit in my voice. It's still kind of in my head, but yesterday I woke up and it was like, the sun had risen because I could breathe and I could talk, y'all. And I like to talk. So I'm like, I don't care if I still sound rough. I am feeling 100% better. It's still got to work through my system, but I'm on my feet. So, and I hated missing last week. Oh my God. I'm so glad to be back. So good morning, everyone.
Arwen woke up and little birdies landed on her arm and she's standing there. Never saw the sun shining so bright.
Here coming out of the woods. I had doves descending from on high. It was like I was a Disney princess again.
And of course, below me, and he's not below me, he's right next to me. The living legend himself, the Rambling Man from History with R&R Rambling Connect. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, not too bad. Can't complain too much. No one listens.
Oh my. Oh no, as Mikey would say. Oh no. Hopefully you are doing well though.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And of course, welcoming back to the panel, he is the rooster on your Fridays, ladies and gentlemen. The rooster in the hen house, the man himself. Dave Bob, how are you doing, brother?
Oh, after my extended book tour and signing and everything, I'm finally back.
Why I fucking hate Kurtzman Trek by the rooster Dave Bob. How did the book signing go?
Oh, it was great. I got to block a lot of people and got blocked by a lot of people and everything else.
And to his right, the man, the myth, the legend, the let's blow that shit up guy on YouTube, 24/7 Fusion Media. Hail, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just thankful to be here, and shit, I'm ready to talk about this show, man.
Well, let's get to it then. Let's talk about
it. Yeah, man, let's blow it up.
Dave Bob, right off the bat, the shit show. You know what? I've got some issues, so let's blow this shit up this morning. I have some issues. I think oh, hold on. Let me get this up here. Let me get this up. Oh, what the hell is that? What in the hell is that?
The Mexican invasion.
Taco, son of a bitch. What is that? No, ow.
No, Alf. Ugh.
Plate pounding. Oh my God, it's Snoopy, but son of a bitch. There, we've got it. We've
Mhm.
got it. All right.
Nice.
Spoilers. Okay, right off the bat. I was kind of tripping when we saw Tuvok. So right off the bat, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, we get to see Tuvok.
Mhm.
The Titan is hiding in a little place called the Chintaka system. And for those of you who don't remember what the Chintaka system is, the Chintaka system was off of Deep Space Nine. There were multiple battles of Chintaka, and there is now like a scrapyard, a ship graveyard in Chintaka where they are scrapping all the leftover metal from the ship hulls and all of that in the Chintaka system. Who knows who runs that now?
Well, I thought it was Cardassian. I thought it was Cardassian territory, the Chintaka system.
It was, but we don't know if it still is. We don't know what happened at Chintaka after Deep Space Nine. And no, we didn't get Tuvix. Next motherfucker that brings up Tuvix, I swear to God.
Oh my God! Nope. We don't talk about.
We don't talk. Yeah, we don't talk about Tuvix.
No.
Chris, what are you doing to me? No, why did you remind me?
Where's Neelix? We can make it happen, especially with the changelings.
Science.
Ugh. No.
Hell to the no.
That's as bad as the Warp 10 episode. No.
Really? I enjoyed that episode, especially him dying.
The lizard people?
No, not Threshold, Tuvix.
Oh. I thought you were saying you like Threshold. I was like, God, no. Hell no. Hey, you know what? Janeway in Paris had little monster reptile babies that are going to grow up and be Godzilla one day. Thanks, Star Trek.
You know what's crazy is I thought Tuvix was. What's crazy is why I thought Tuvix was that thing that Worf has in his pants, but I was like, oh, that's two dicks. My bad.
Oh God.
Klingons do have redundant backup systems, so
like the way it's put.
Maybe that's why Jadzia was always like.
Allegedly.
God, now all I can think of is Jadzia with Worf's like that furry blanket, that black furry blanket, whatever it was, wrapped around her with nothing else on it. God help me. I need 5 minutes. I'll be back. I need 5 minutes. I'll
Take
be
your
back.
time. Okay.
God.
Project Cambridge.
Oh shit. The Emmy. Oh, Captain Phantom Nerd. The Emmy award-winning Threshold still beats Picard.
Really? It won an Emmy? Family Guy has never gotten an Emmy, and Threshold got an Emmy. You must be pulling my finger, fandom nerd.
Oh my, Dega Outlaw. No wonder you can't separate the Duras sisters. Hey, I'll have you know, there's some.
War got all doors covered. Yup.
There's some Klingon opera I definitely want to discover one day. With them two in it. God help me. When Worf gets captured during the Klingon Civil War, and she's serving him tea, and she's like, "We can be your friends." I was like, "Oh my God, Worf, don't do it! I want you to do it, brother. You lucky son of a bitch. Just don't do it." And he's like, "You two are Klingon skanks. I would never do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's my boy. That's my boy." Larry just gifted 5 Loki's Mornings of Mischief memberships. Thank you, Larry. Sean MNT got one. Propaganda Productions got one. Atwood, Cody Guy, Galadorn 2 was gifted a membership by Larry. Thank you both. Thank you guys. Thank you, Larry, so very much for those. What did you guys? We're gonna go around the panel. What did you guys think about the beginning of this with Tuvok? I thought the beginning was fine. I didn't have any problem with it. We'll go Ryan, Arwen, and we'll go around. So go ahead, Brian.
Oh, yes. I think the beginning of this episode was a solid start, but unfortunately it went all downhill from there. It was good to see Tim Russ back in action. Always nice to see him as an actor. But that whole scene with Tuvok and Seven and how it ended, it just tells you those infiltrators are in deep, folks. They're arms deep into the Federation.
That's what the Duras sisters said. In deep, arms deep.
But yes, I did enjoy it.
Arwen.
I agree. The beginning was actually my favorite part of this episode, and I was never a massive Voyager fan. I thought it was okay. I mean, it had some good moments, but it just was never my favorite of the Star Trek. But Tuvok was my favorite character. I loved Tuvok. And to see him was like, ooh, yay. And y'all, I gotta admit, the little Voyager piece that they seamlessly, that music that they put in there, it got me. I was like, oh my God, I just love that. And anyway, and how it unfolded with Tuvok, not Tuvok. Yeah, solid, definitely a solid start for me. I enjoyed that.
Captain Spire with the $2 super chat says, have you found anything yet? Nothing yet, sir. How about you guys? No. What about you? Man, we ain't found shit. Yes, Tim Russ as a space ball. Thank you so very much, Captain Spire. 24/7 Fusion Media.
What's up, brother?
What did you think about the beginning of this? Seeing Tuvok.
I thought it was interesting. Yeah, I thought it was interesting to see him again. You know, it's funny. The first time I've ever seen him was in the original Star Trek movie.
Oh.
If you don't remember, he was in the first Star Trek movie with Kirk and all them, all the way at the end.
What was the name of that film?
Actually, if I'm not, he did show up.
It was Undiscovered Country.
Oh.
He. I remember. I wasn't the first in that series in those movies. I remember seeing him as a Vulcan there before seeing him somewhere else. And I don't know. It was just, it's weird to see him now. He looks good, you know. It was good to see him, but then to find out that wasn't really him. But at least you know he's still alive. So that kind of like, well,
tortured.
Right, he's being tortured. So basically, he's in the same position as Riker, and hopefully they'll get both of them out. You know, it'll be cool to see him on the ship. You know, just think, you know, that'll be their Vulcan for the, you know, for the ride. You know, I wouldn't mind them bringing them on for the rest of the trip. Shit, what you gonna do? Drop them off somewhere? You know what I'm saying? They got them. So you might as well bring them on. You know, and let them ride. Because if not, you know, ain't no telling if you take them to the Federation once you release them, if they won't kill them.
Well, what's interesting with that conversation, we find out that Janeway is the one who's in charge of Frontier Day.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It came completely out of the blue.
So has Janeway been compromised? Tuvok's compromised. Is Janeway compromised? That's a big question we've got to ask now.
Mm-hmm.
Then you know, and I guess that leads to question, like, you know, from that whole, you know, like from everybody from that show, who's been compromised at this point, that we have, we're thinking about one or two people, but is it, we really don't know how far this thing goes.
Right.
So that's, and I guess that goes to all the surprises we'll see before this thing is over with. You know, who else they'll unearth, because we didn't know we was going to even see his ass in the beginning of the show. So just to see him pop up kind of gives you the idea that anybody can show up. So we see Kirk's alive somewhere, he's alive in this thing, then you see him, and then you seen all these other people, and then old girl died, trying to save Picard that was in season 3. So it's like they pulling out all kinds of stuff that we probably would have never thought we see in one show. So, I mean, it looks like they keep upping the ante when it comes to the surprise guest and who you might see next. It's interesting, man. I thought it was pretty cool.
Dave Bob.
Well, I hate to say it, but I saw that coming from a mile away. The minute I saw Tuvok, I knew he was going to be a changeling. I just knew it. I mean,
It's them
everybody
shifty
else so
fucking
far-
Vulcans, right? It's those shifty fucking Vulcans. It's the ears. You can never trust them.
not so much that. It's just not so much that. It's just, the writing style, and the way they try to hit you from left field. I just saw that one coming. I'll just put it that way. But yes, it was nice to see Tim. I haven't seen him in a while, and he's looking pretty good.
Oh,
Indeed. Ramblin'. The Ramblin' Man.
Yes.
What'd you think?
The opening part, especially the scenes with Tuvok and Seven, were good. I liked also the little thing that they showed, the voice analyzer, that they were actually checking things. So that's something you wouldn't see on Discovery. Just all of a sudden they'd pull it out of their ass that they know that this isn't Tuvok. So it actually showed that they were, halfway intelligent.
Oh, and Seven was Seven threw some questions out too, like
Yeah.
like when we used to
Yeah.
play Calto, and
Yeah.
The questions that the doppelganger passed.
She was
Followed by-
chumming those waters.
Mm.
Yeah. But, something you wouldn't see in Discovery. They just all of a sudden pull it out of their ass that it wasn't Tuvok. And, but at least they were showing little things that, they were tracking stuff. They were looking at stuff. And
Yeah.
so I liked that. I think the episode started off good, and then it just kind of stayed there. It didn't go up. It didn't go too far down. It just kind of coasted for the episode.
all right, okay. So I do have some problems with this episode. I got really, and we talked a little bit about this backstage before the show. I think that this whole Federation's evil shit. I'm sick and tired of them trying to make the Federation evil. I'm going to echo my great friend.
Starfleet especially.
Yes. Yes, Starfleet especially. I'm going to echo my great friend Clobbering Times, as we have gone over and over Batman, Superman in the DC universe. And one of the greatest quotes from Commissioner Jim Gordon is, "The Batman doesn't kill. Period." Starfleet doesn't do evil shit. Okay? Section 31 was created to kind of be like, well, we do what Starfleet won't. When you start blurring those lines, and we're gonna have to get some more information, and if they don't give it to us, then I'm going to keep the score I'm gonna give today. If they do give us some more information and we find out some more shit, and it explains this somehow, like Section 31 had some kind of infiltration team or something, then I will give it an extra point after today. But I'm going to take a point away automatically for this shit. They show Starfleet experimenting on changelings they captured during the Dominion War.
Yep.
That must have been some feat to capture a changeling.
Yeah.
Never mind half a dozen of them or a dozen of them.
Well, Cisco taught them how to do it. Cisco taught Starfleet how to, and so did Odo. So they taught Starfleet how to subdue changelings, how to up their security, how to catch them, basically with their pants down with phaser sweeps. Cisco and Odo taught them how to do this, but they would never torture a race. Doesn't matter what it is. That's not Starfleet.
Yep.
No, it's not.
Yep. That to me, that made my blood boil.
I think
Especially
that's
when
a
they're
failure on
using-
on the writing. I think it's supposed to be blaming it. What the idea was to blame it on Section 31
Hmm.
being the bad egg, as it were. They're just not. I think it would do them some service to mention 31 more and mention Federation less.
Hmm.
But okay, here's my thought on it, and this is what I was saying in the back room. You have her who has been tortured, who has been brutalized, who has been, her DNA has been manipulated, it's been twisted. That's going to take a toll on somebody's mind, y'all. And I'm hoping my little, ideological soul is hoping that in her mind, why the hell would she separate Starfleet from this group or that group or this rogue faction or that? No, to her, and again, this is what I'm hoping they're doing. To her, it's all Starfleet. It don't matter. It's the solids. It's the powers that be, aka it's Starfleet.
Well, this happened on Daystrom Station. This didn't happen on some secret Section 31 starbase or facility or on a ship. This happened on Daystrom Station, which means
I know,
this
but
was
that's what I'm still hoping, though. I'm hoping that it's not okay. We're going to expose Starfleet that, yeah, they really are corrupt because, yes,
Where
again,
did they
that
get
is
the
a
boomers
trope
from?
that Hollywood has been doing now is the good guys, y'all, are really the bad guys. No, fuck off. It's Starfleet. It's not the bad guys. I'm sorry. And if that's the route they take, then yeah, it's dead. At that point, then I will say, yeah, Picard is dead. If that's really what they're saying, but it could be, maybe not, because y'all know she is pretty tweaked. She has her, what I call her Chang moments, because whenever, like last episode, whenever she monologued, those big grand, I kept thinking, oh my God, it's General Chang. Well, duh, it's his daughter. So you're going to see shades of Christopher Plummer in there.
All I think of when I see her is Meemaw's got game.
Captain Spire with a $5 super chat says there's so many aliens they could use. I wonder if they are leading towards a united coalition of aliens out to finally destroy the Federation. Okay, so whoever these changelings are answering to is not a changeling. I don't know who the hell it is. I don't know if it's the time guy from Enterprise. I don't know that you never see. I don't know who is doing this, but it isn't a changeling. So whoever it is, they are using the changelings to manipulate everything and cause all this shit. So thank you.
Interesting.
Thank you so much, Captain Spire, brother, for that.
Oh my God. I just thought of something then. Okay, if they're manipulating them, do you think they could also have, and I know this is probably far-fetched, but what the hell, it's science fiction. It's kind of far-fetched is what they do. What if they are, okay, this Voldemort, if you will, this Star Trek Voldemort, if there is somehow, if he's not just using them, but also in some ways manipulating them, taking their past traumas, taking their whatever the hell it was that they've gone through, and manipulating it and using it for whatever benefit he can gain, whatever purpose he has. To make, again, Starfleet the enemy in their eyes.
Well, this creature that they're answering to is capable of deforming the changeling form. We saw that during a scene where that creature was intimidating Vadic to find Jack, and Jack's abilities, as demonstrated in part in this episode, prove that he has some sort of psionic potential in his mind.
So that's possible too.
It's Wesley Crusher. This is for all the times you told me to shut up. This is all the time for all the times you told me to shut up, and for replacing me with another brother.
I can get behind that. It's Wesley's fault.
It's all Wesley's fault.
Although they did make a nod to Wesley in this episode.
Bogone poetry. Bogone poetry. Yes.
Lose another son.
Ah, there it is.
Oh.
Let me see if I can get a. Oh, Freddled Grunt Bugly, by micturations are to me. Oh, as pluddled gobble blotchet in midsummer morning on a lugged bee. Where'd everybody go?
Our
What's
brains
going on?
What's going on, man? What are you doing, Loki? This is
I'll just
supposed
dance.
to be fun, not Bogon.
Fuck.
No, Loki. Yes, Mark. No. Yeah, throws himself out the airlock. Everyone leaves. No one ever comes back because Snort, except for Snorts, who is like so romantic.
So long and thanks for all the fish.
So long and thanks for all the fish. Dun, 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 dun. So long, and thanks for all the fish. Anyway, God help me. People are like, not that movie. That movie sucked. I'm like, I like that song. Kiss my ass.
So did I.
Oh my God. Okay, where were we? God help me. Okay. So Vatic apparently was tortured by someone on a scientist, a human scientist on Daystrom Station. They took their form. So the scientist looks like Vatic. And the scientist used to whistle, what was it, Frere Jacques? Do, 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 do. Do, do,
I
do,
thought
do.
it was Three Blind Mice.
Oh, it might have been Three Blind Mice. Here we go. Three Blind Mice. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, no.
The Jamaica version of Three Blind Mice. Dun, 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 dun. Anybody hasn't watched Dr. No, go back and watch Dr. No.
Every time I hear that, I think Three Stooges. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
So that might
Did
be-
anybody get the impression when they were watching this? I thought I was watching Lemony Snicket's and a series of unfortunate events.
It didn't feel Star Trek. This particular episode didn't feel like last week's. Last week's fucking got me, y'all. I'm sorry. I loved it. I loved last week's episode so much.
Boo, hiss, boo.
No, I did. I told Loki and Ryan. I don't know if the rest of y'all were in here, but I gave it a 9.5. It was my highest score ever that I've given any of these episodes. So I was really excited about this week's, but it just it never quite got where I think they wanted to go. It was too much.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It really ruined
Yes.
the tension that they were trying to build.
It was just too much. She's great in small doses.
Yes.
And
no,
the actress
I
kills
agree
it.
with that.
But it's like you get too much Rafi, you want to just claw your eyes out. Get too much Baddock, it's like, okay, this is not drama
Holy shit.
summer camp. This
Rafi
is
wasn't in this episode.
Rafi wasn't in this episode. Where's
Nope.
Rafi?
With Wolf.
You get a 0.5 just for that.
Worf wasn't in this episode either.
No, because he was sent off to go and get Mr. Riker back.
but see,
Oh,
even she
yeah.
didn't annoy me last episode. I was shocked that she didn't annoy me.
Isn't Riker on the Shrike?
Yes.
Say, let me ask you, how far you think those soldiers would have gotten running around the ship if Worf would have been there?
The
Oh,
airlock.
When they all phased in and they
The
started
airlock.
chasing Jack and
Although to be
yeah.
fair, maybe not, because in TNG they did like to make Worf lose a whole bunch of times when he.
I
shouldn't.
know, but Mork would have been like, meditation later. Let's kick ass now.
Yeah,
And he would have taken them out, them fuckers. I'm sorry.
Never mind, he would have taken them out during a yoga routine.
Yes.
I wasn't fighting; I
No.
was doing my yoga.
Yes.
No,
Tai
but
Chi.
there would have been a call to the bridge. Seven would have had to go down to deck 4. There'd have been a whole bunch of smoke. she would have walked up to Worf and been like, "What are you doing?" And he turns around and there's changeling on a kebab, roasted changeling.
Yeah.
Yes,
Great
It
with my
tastes-
soured
It's
meat.
vegan.
yes, great with my soured mead. Soured mead, Chateau Picard. It's
Oh,
very
yeah.
tart. Ugh.
Sour.
Prune
Side
juice,
order of prune
Uh,
juice.
Yeah, prune juice, chilled. Warriors drink. And you haven't seen him do that either. I've been waiting for that. Prune juice, chilled. And Rappy to be like, motherfucker, really? Prune juice? It's a warrior's drink. Yeah.
Warriors drink.
Maybe that's too on the nose for them, though. Because they've tried very hard to do something that I've noticed with all these, and that is we want to have Easter eggs, but we don't want to throw out member berries. And there are people that are like, "Oh, it's just a whole bunch of member berries," and then there's people that are like, "Oh, it's Easter eggs if you catch shit." And is it member berries? Is it Easter eggs? What the hell is this?
Combination.
It's a,
I think it's I think Dave Bob's right. It's a combination of both.
Hmm.
Sometimes they land well, and sometimes they don't.
Hmm.
True, but there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
No, because I'm like, okay, and everyone can have their own opinion on it. That's fine. But I've seen a lot of, it's just, member berries, and people shitting on that. But the way I see it, I'm like, look, this show is Picard. It's going to have people from his past. It's going to have people from Next Gen. It's going to have people from Voyager. It's going to have people of the universe. That's okay. That's kind of to be expected when you have people of your past come back into your life. We don't necessarily say in our real lives, "Oh, I haven't seen you in 10 years, but here you're back, member berries." I say,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey, you've been in my life. We've shared experiences together, and here we are coming together again." So I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. Again, I know there are some member berries for member berry's sake, and like Rambling said, some land and some don't. But at the same time, what do y'all expect? It's Picard. You're gonna see people from this universe and his world.
You should, and that was a big problem with
Yeah.
season 1 and season 2 was you should be seen, and we're hearing from Patrick Stewart saying, "No, I don't want the rest of the crew involved.
Yeah.
This is Picard, not Star Trek. This is not Star Trek The Next Generation. This is Star Trek Picard. So it should be all about me."
I want a battery eater on my crew and
Yeah,
a drug
Yeah.
addict.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
lives in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Nobody
Well,
goes off to an island and fucks off with your old experiences and people especially if you've served in something like Starfleet. You're
It's a
gonna
big
come across
galaxy,
these people
Arwen.
again.
Well,
well,
according to Deb from Cochrane, he wanted to retire to a
Yeah.
beautiful island surrounded by naked women.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
drink is-
I'm not saying it's not a goal. I'm just saying when you're Picard,
yeah.
when you're
Well,
Picard,
also-
you're gonna have people come back.
But I mean, if you stop and think about it, unfortunately, I mean, the way it is, the writers are effed one way or the other. If they don't put in the member berries and they do something that feels like another IP, then they get yelled at because you have all this history and you don't use it. What the fuck? Right? And then they use it and they get nailed for member berry. So it's kind of a catch-22, and some
Yeah.
people are just not going to like the show no matter what.
Well, you
Yes.
use
the way
you
it is.
use the past to build
Here,
a better
here.
future. And that's what
Oh,
should have been done from the start.
Captain Spire has a really good question for the panel.
Mhm.
Did you guys feel Dr. Moriarty in Data Bit was a bait and switch or tastefully used? This obviously was from the other week when they rescued Data. I knew as soon as I saw the crow, personally for me, that it was that Data was the one hooked up to the mainframe because when he was dreaming, he was always the crow.
Mm.
So I knew that immediately. And I knew when I saw Moriarty, this has to be something Data's thrown out there as like a protection. And when Riker whistled the
Mhm.
dun 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 dun, it immediately took him out. And I was like, okay, this is Data, this AI mind hooked up to the station.
Yeah.
What did you guys think? We'll go 24 and we'll go around.
Well, I mean, I thought that was actually pretty interesting how they put that together, and you know, and it even holds up even in this story, like Data's part and everything is very well, you know, even though like you don't see him for too much, but when you did, you know, it was good to see him and see, you know, him going back and forth with his personality. I thought that's pretty interesting.
Hey, Bob.
Well, honestly, I didn't care for it too much, but I don't care for most of what's on this show. So there is that.
Rambling.
I thought the Moriarty Data thought process was pretty well done, because I think it would have been very limiting if it would have been Moriarty, just Moriarty. I think it could have been very limiting. But with the added aspect of Data, I think it makes it make sense. Because then you don't have to explain how Moriarty got there.
Well, the biggest problem I have with it is everybody knows that Laura is a freaking psychopath. Why try to save any
Because
part of
Sung
that?
never did. Sung
piece of
never
crap?
saw Lore as a psycho.
No, he saw him as the second half of humanity. The first
He was
half
his
being
failure if it
He was,
wasn't
yeah,
anything else.
he was his failure. In his hubris, he created a failure and never went back to fix it. He just started over and went to Data.
Yeah.
And then that's why he kept telling Laura, "Oh, I was gonna get back to you one day, boy. I was gonna get back to you, and I was gonna try and fix you. I just never did." So
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Gary 7 needs to show up and fix this shit. Yes, all of it. Get rid of STD, eliminate Michael Burnham. Yes, Gary 7. Definitely. They were going to make a Gary 7 series and it just never happened. Arwen.
It was fine. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. And I admit when I saw Data, I was kind of like, oh my God, Data. And I figured Laura was going to be in there somewhere. And he's so tweaked. He's such a good villain, if you will, that I don't even mind that. The only problem I have, and again, I don't really know that you call it a problem because it's sticking with the personality of Lore. He is so strong. He is so he's always kind of had that edge over Data in that sense. But as far as the Moriarty Data stuff, yeah, I was fine with that. The crow threw me. And thinking back, I'm like, I should have gotten that. But the crow threw me, but the Moriarty and then the whistle, I'm like, okay. Let's hope we see some Data. And we did. So yeah, that was fine with that.
Have you enjoyed the Data Lore stuff in this episode?
Yeah, I have, but again, Lore is such in the forefront of that, which makes sense, but you can't just rip him out because the way this incarnation of Data is hardwired, you could be ripping out literally half of the brain. I mean, if you think of us the way we are, we have our light side and our shadow side, and they're integrated into our souls, into our consciousness. You can work on one. You can work on bettering that shadow side and, making your light side stronger and more evolved and more focused, but you can't just rip out a shadow side of somebody. You would basically be removing half of who we are, and we would cease to be who we are. We would not function the same way. So in this incarnation of Data, I think they're going to have a problem with that. I don't see how you could just remove Lore like they were saying and just restore Data to who he was, because they're so integrated now. So they're going to have to find a way to blend them and have Data be whole in the main personality. So even though I love him as a villain, he annoys the crap out of me.
It's the smile. It's that smile.
He's so fucking smug. He's so smackable oh my God, you just want to hit him. But I don't want to see, though, that lore take over every single time. That would be too much. I want to see that struggle and that war within Data. That I want to see more of. And I think lore was a little overused in this episode, but it provides an interesting problem, if you will.
Mark Gambling Tired says Data died, saving the Enterprise E Nemesis. Plain and simple.
The Data we know as that Data, yeah, I agree with that.
I'm gonna tell you right now, they have brought him back so many times. I'm really just kind of sick of him coming back and dying.
You know, my biggest problem with the TNG movies in Generation, you've got this big part with Data getting his motion chip. A large part of the movie is kind of Data centric. It's, you know, Data's dealing with his emotions. Data's dealing with Geordi. Data's dealing with not being able to control shit. Data's having a nervous breakdown. Data's going, yes, on the bridge after they destroy the bird of prey. Data's going, oh shit, as they're about to crash on the planet, right? And then you've got First Contact. Data's a huge part of the story. Data's getting his face cut up by the Borg. Data's getting human skin. Data, resistance is futile. Boom. Data's a huge part of the movie. And other people are not getting as much screen time. Star Trek Insurrection. Data is a huge part of the movie. Yeah. Data, it's very Data centric. Data loses control and Data finds this planet and Data.
Yeah.
Fucking Star Trek Nemesis. Data's singing Blue Skies Shining on Me. Data's finding B4. Data's discovering stuff that his dad did. Data. The movie hinges and ends on the death of Data. All 4 movies were very, very data. And, you know, in TNG, the biggest thing, and Mr. Tickletrunk just pointed out, there were some scenes with Data and Picard where Picard's like, I'm helping you discover your humanity, Data. And that's fine. But there was plenty of Riker, and Riker's going off to Telltale 5 to bang some 3-titted multi-gendered chick or whatever. There's, you know, Crusher sleeping with a green smoke ghosty googly guy. Troy tripping out and like, I'm having psychotic visions, and everybody had their own thing. Everybody had their own story.
Worf got his ass handed to him every now and again.
But damn, man, it was just data. And I don't want to see this turn into data because we've already gotten that. And I agree, they shouldn't have brought him back in season 1. That what's her name? Who I can't even remember the name of. Who?
Soji. Was that her name?
Soji.
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. I
blanked out.
I just blanked out that entire thing. The only thing I can't ever forget is the tulips in the Borg cube. They should have never killed him off in the first place. They should have never done that. They should have never brought him back. They should have never done any of that. They should have left it for this. And people use that, and it's been overdone. I would have much rather Data come back in B4 remember shit, and we would have got Data out there somewhere. That would have been fine with me. Instead, they did some wacky ass shit.
Well, they had to make him look his age, so therefore they couldn't use the original body.
No.
The Data show again. So
we'll see. I mean, I'm holding out judgment on that just yet. We'll see if it's going to be the Data show. I hope not.
For me, I never had an opposition to that, but that was because I really liked Data, so it didn't bother me at the time.
I loved Data and lore. Who didn't?
Data was good in the movies for, especially during like Insurrection when it was intolerable of a movie. He was good for the, oh, thank you, Data. You made me laugh. I haven't done that all movie. Thank you. Like, Data was good for that. Okay, you saved the scene. Thank you. Now, please go away.
Sing, Wolf, sing. Nope, not me. No, that's all I remember from Insurrection is Picard telling Worf to sing and him going, bitch, ain't going to happen. He's just shaking his head like, nope.
Klingons do not sing.
Klingons sing Klingon opera. That is all.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Shinatsky says it right here. If a character dies more than once, their deaths start to lose meaning. So, and you've got to be really careful with that, with your storytelling. There's a series I play where a character just died and everyone's screaming, do not bring this person back as this. Do not do it because their death will have lost all meaning. It's a tearjerker. We all cried. There's a really touching moment where one of the characters is like on their knees in front of the body and he's just weeping and you're like, I feel so bad for this motherfucker. No. And do not bring her back and have her be some kind of super fucking whatever. Don't do it. Leave it the way it is. Do not bring this character back and make her. And that loses all meaning. That loses all meaning. And the community has spoken. They do not want to see this shit. And I think we all accepted what Data did, and it sucked. And I don't know. I do love that speech from Geordi though. Geordi makes this beautiful speech in this episode where he's like, I was broken after you were gone, after you died, and I didn't realize it until you opened your eyes and I talked to you, how much I'd lost when I lost you. I can't do that again. And it's just like,
that was good. And the one episode where I did not mind the cussing was from Geordi. That made sense to me because it was right after that big emotional speech to Data.
Yeah.
And then, the just excitement of the moment and the pressure and the tension, and he lets it rip. I'm like, that I got. I didn't have a problem with that. I understood that.
Yeah, I could, and what Mr. Tickle Chunk brings up, I could talk about that for just that one topic for hours.
Yeah.
That bringing back Spock. And the fact they didn't tell William Shatner until after the premiere that, hey, guess what? We filmed this little scene at the end where you see his tube and he could come back, and Shatner's like, what in the hell is going on? Oh, he's gonna direct the next episode. He already accepted the next movie. He already accepted, and we're gonna, it's called The Search for Spock. And Shatner's like, I hate all of you. Why? Because they tricked him into having this, of all the souls I have encountered in my travels, and all that. No, that they tricked him because they were like, okay, if we tell him what we're doing, he's not gonna get. He's just gonna be all, yeah, I'm just gonna, he'll phone it in. We don't want him to phone it in. So let him really think that this is the last time he's going to see Spock and talk to Spock. And I'm like, you sorry bastards. I love it.
But that pause and his voice cracks on the word human. Oh my God, y'all. The feels and the things.
Yes.
Oh,
no, I absolutely, Arwen. Absolutely.
So good.
And, I would have loved that if they would have been like, after you've done all this, and it'd be like, Mexican Iron Man down or something. And, we do the thing and then, oh, well, guess what? He's back and he's going to direct this. And I'd be like, I love all of you bastards. I hate you, but I love all of you. No, that wouldn't have made me. And apparently that caused a rift between Shatner and Nimoy for a while. Was that you didn't tell me, you sorry green-blooded, inhuman, pointy-eared son of a bitch. So, Mr. Tickletrunk says that was one of Shatner's best scenes in anything I've seen him in. He was the most human. Still gets me, yeah?
Yeah. Definitely.
Bold prediction: the crystalline entity. If it's the fucking snowflake, I'm out. I'm never watching Star Trek ever again. If it's the damn snowflake.
Have we
They can
ever
bring data back. They can bring that back.
Hmm.
Did they ever what, Ryan?
Did they ever show the crystalline entity on television?
Yes, it was destroyed. Yeah, they destroyed it too. Yeah, they shook it to death.
Yep.
Oh my!
Sonic vibrations.
Sonic vibrations shattered it.
Vibrations.
Maybe one of its shards is now that creature, and it's all about revenge.
One of my favorite Kirk scenes is when he's talking to Cybok, Spock's brother, about needing his fear. Yeah, I want my pain. I need my pain. Yeah, don't touch my pain, bitch. I need all that. Snowflake got blowed up. Yes, it did. It got destroyed. We
It's me.
shook it.
Boom, boom.
It's Cybok.
After all these years, you finally caught up to me. Ryan Rogers, Cybok Ape, ladies and gentlemen. He's got the hair. He's got the hair. I remember, okay, so I was on, I think I was on vacation.
Oh.
And I get back, and this is back when we had answering machines, ladies and gentlemen. And my buddy, who I got into Star Trek, I got him into Star Trek late. He goes, I was watching this Star Trek movie came on, and there's a Vulcan on it, and he started laughing, and I was like, what the shit, dude? Call me when you get this. I'm totally high too. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, dude. What the hell, man? Yeah, that's Cybok. That's Spock's brother. I didn't like that movie, man. Yeah, I didn't either. It's okay. I said, think about it like it's all a big dream. Oh man. Yeah. Kirk's just sleeping at Yosemite, and it's all a big dream.
Share
It's
your
real.
pain with me,
Yeah.
and we will draw strength from the pain.
The real villain of the season is Alex Kurtzman.
Talk about
Oh,
holidays. How's Alex's doing? Must be relaxing in the Bahamas.
And for Finnegan's sake, stop inventing siblings for
Right.
Spock. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
sorry, y'all. I gotta go.
Okay. Really quick. Give us what you thought. Give us a score real quick.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
Okay.
Lowest
score.
Yeah, it was too much Vatican her and again the revelation about Starfleet. We'll see. That pissed me off, but again, I'm waiting to withhold final judgment until the season's over to see where they're going. I liked the scenes between Geordi and Data. I loved the beginning with Tuvok, but this coming off of last week's episode, which to me I felt was so good and really felt Star Trek for me, this one was like womp womp. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6.5, but I want to see what next week brings. So
Okay.
thank you, Snorty. I appreciate
Keep
it.
those Twinkies creamy. God help me.
I'll do my best.
Dunking them in milk. Thank you, Arwen,
Damn
for being here.
straight.
Guys, if you aren't subscribed to Arwen Avalon, make sure you get your butt over there. We will have a link in chat in just a minute. Again, thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Arwen.
All right. Love y'all. And
Let's
I'll talk to you later.
go.
Bye.
Love you too, girl. Take it easy. Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna go. There's a lot of exposition about what happened to the changelings, and this is, I think, the weakest part of all this shit. I brought it up before. The Batman doesn't kill. Starfleet doesn't do shit like this, and we need more explanation. Arwen came up with this great thing that maybe it's just from her perspective. Maybe it is, from Baddock's perspective. This is what happened when that wasn't related. They didn't know. There's all kinds. I want an explanation though, and if we don't get one, I'm going to give a rating here in a little bit, and that rating is not going to change, and it's going to be the biggest drop for me anyway. That from all the episodes so far. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on Data and lore, just like we got Arwen's, and I want to talk about the end of this episode, and then we'll do scores and give ratings. So, Dave, Bob, what did you think about the Data lore stuff?
Do what now?
the stuff with data and lore.
Well, like I said, it's too contrived. Everything about this whole episode to me was just contrivances from start to finish. I mean, the letting them come on board, they should have immediately, like Mark said earlier, blown them out the airlock, just depressurize that section, whatever. They're just, everything's contrived. And like you said, everything with the Federation and Starfleet being evil. I'm getting so tired of that stuff that I can't go there. And Data, like I said, that was just a bunch of contrivance there, just to ramp suspense up.
All right. Shinatsky says they aren't getting rid of Kurtzman. I wish people would understand this. So much infighting over this shit. Someone popped on here yesterday and said that we're the reason Kurtzman still has a job and yada, yada, yada. And I said, and here's the deal. Kurtzman, they were writing up the renewal for his contract before Picard even started. They had made their decision to keep him. What role he had at CBS and Paramount and Peacock, that's up for debate. That is up for debate. Whether he would still be in charge of Star Trek, that is up for debate. You can debate that all you want to. I don't care. He had already gotten his renewal approved. So they were just writing up the contract and everybody was ready to sign, and that would have been the end of it. So he already had his job. It's just what job exactly at Paramount? That's the question. So someone was like, you're at fault. No, we're not. Anybody who likes it can like it. Anybody who doesn't like it doesn't like it. We didn't get Alex Kurtzman his job back.
No,
he'd already been approved for a renewal.
Well, Loki, it's just, to me, those kind of comments make me shake my head. And here I'm going to add my wrestling with WrestleMania around the corner. I'll add my wrestling commentary. Those kind of comments make me shake my head about as much as, how dare Vince McMahon be backstage at Monday Night Raw?
Yeah.
He owns the fucking company lock, stock, and barrel. He's going to go wherever the fuck he wants within the company.
And Mr. Citrical Trunk knows what's up. 2 months ago, we reported it on it before Picard ever started. Mexican Iron Man, and
wasn't it a 7-year renewal? So we'll have him.
That's right, the 7-year renewal. And we brought this up before Picard started on Taco Tuesday with me and Mike. His contract was already being written up before this show started. It's just we don't know what job he was going to have. It's that simple.
Hopefully they demote him.
No,
and I didn't.
Up.
I wasn't going to share that, and I'm really glad I did. That way I can refer to that and say, you know what? Don't believe me? Go back and watch it, because I had received information, and then I'd received information from a source, and then Mike confirmed it when he told me that the contract was getting renewed, and it was the exact same details. And I said, dude, we've got to talk about this. I wasn't going to, because I don't talk rumors, but we need to talk about this. And they're from two completely different people that are not talking to the same person. So it's not all going back to a Reddit post or one single person telling us this shit. These came from two completely different arenas and were the exact same story. 21
years worth of Kurtzman Trek, potentially, folks, from 2009 to 2030. Are you amped up for it?
So, and Mr. Tickle Trunk with a $2.20 Canadian super chat. Thank you, my friend, so very much. It says Kurtzman stays employed because he's a yes man. Period. Canuck, what did you think about the? Thank you again, Mr. Tickle Trunk. What do you think about the data lore stuff?
The data lore stuff is fine. They didn't keep lore the entire episode. Data did fight back, which is something they needed to have in this episode, not just lore took over and that's it. They needed to have Data have his comeback moment where he's like, I will take over, bitch. If they hadn't had Data take back control at the end, that would have been a little bit of a problem for me. But so far, I think they've done it well, and I think they've done it well so far.
24/7.
What's up, brother?
The Data lore situation.
I thought it was interesting. It's an interesting dynamic that, that's added on to the show that, they could have played it safe and just had Data come back, but then with all that extra added stuff to him now, it makes it interesting to see how this is all going to play out, because it's going to come down to something by the time this is done with what's going to happen with him and his personalities merging and what he's going to ultimately turn out to be, right? You would think, right? So, I'm looking at that, and I thought that was it's pretty interesting to see how it's going to come out. How many more episodes left?
3.
3?
Yeah, we get 10. We get 10 episodes, right? Yeah, 10 episodes. I'm pretty sure we get 10
All right,
episodes.
so yeah, we got 3 more episodes to see what happens to him at the end of this. So, but yeah, I thought it was cool. To be honest, now that you mention it, he shows up in the middle of
10 episodes. We do get 10 episodes. I just confirmed.
Right. Yeah, it's it was interesting when he showed up, man. I liked it. Liked it a lot.
God, I thought we only had one left. Jesus.
Yeah, and 3 more. 3 more to go, Dave Bob.
He said 1.
My 2 favorite villains in TNG are Lore and Q.
Oh.
And in some ways, neither one of them could be called a proper true villain. Even though Lore does some crazy shit and some evil stuff, like operating on people's brains, and he killed Dr. Sung, and where's Data? But I always loved Lore, and I always loved Q. And I think those are two top things of TNG that TNG wouldn't be the same without. Ryan, tell us what you think about the Data lore stuff.
I think it was a good balance. The best and worst parts of humanity, as it were, battling it out within this golem. What a name for a piece of machinery. But I did enjoy the moment Geordi had with Data, trying to get through to him, and Lore's just like, "You kidding, man? What are you doing?" And then right at the end, he changes, and everything sort of comes together, as it were, despite the fact that the ship is taken over. And it's just that situation with Data and Lore was the shining star for the rest of this episode, which was trying to build up tension, and ultimately it all fell through because, well, I couldn't take it seriously. Every time Vadic was trying to build that tension, I was laughing. It's like, you're not intimidating. You're crazy.
She's not. She's crazy.
Meemaw.
So before we do final thoughts and scores, let's talk about the end of this episode. Let's talk about Vadic. They obviously went into the whole she was tortured, yada yada yada. Then they get on board the Titan, and they get to a point at the end of this episode where she's been monologuing her experience to Picard and Beverly. She escapes. There's changeling infiltrators on board. They get to the bridge. They make their way to the bridge, and she just takes over the ship. She doesn't have command codes. The bridge isn't locked down, which they should have done immediately to where she couldn't do anything. But apparently Data is in control of everything. So, or Data Lore is in control of everything. So you don't know how that's gonna work itself out next week. Again, we are left on this like cliffhanger of, oh no, what surprise way are they going to get out of this one? And maybe that's the point of this. We've gotten so away from episodic television that this is like one big movie. What did you think about the last quarter of this episode with Vadic taking over the ship? We're going to go rambling, Dave, Bob, 24, Ryan, and then we'll go the opposite way around for the final thoughts. So rambling.
Okay, so for me, the weakest point of Vadic taking over the ship is we don't see the beam in. We don't see.
She didn't beam in. She shuttled in.
No. I mean, all her little minions there.
They shuttled in.
Come in with all of those.
They all came on the shuttle at the same time, didn't they?
Well,
yeah, they were supposed to.
When she first enters, right? She's only got maybe 8 people behind her.
I think she's got 4 when she comes out the
tunnel. Yeah. So I mean, like, they don't show where the others came from. That's my biggest problem with this. With it, it's like, you know, they don't show the secondary breach, right? Because I think that's what they were hinting at by what her going. You know, when you live in the water, you learn there are many routes to the same spot, to the same ocean. To me, I took that as there was a second shuttle, but we never saw a second shuttle. We never saw a beam in. So where the fuck did all these other motherfuckers come from? Right. So for me, that's my that's my that's the weakest part of the takeover. Is
I agree.
Don't see where the reinforcements came from.
I thought the same thing.
Right. There's no no sign of where they came from.
Because, you know, the thing with that was it was weird how like a lot of them got shot and all this other stuff during the whole little Scooby-Doo scene. You know, the Scooby-Doo scene, if you can imagine Scooby-Doo, and you know how they have that one hallway and on the left you got 3 doors, on the right you got 3 doors, and they're going through, you know, the exits in so many ways, and some of them are together and some of them hanging out with the bad guy, and it like it's like Benny Hill.
Yeah, like Velma.
And it was that's what that shit reminded me of, man. In the midst of looking at that, you know, a lot of people got killed and stuff like that. So the thing is, when she ends up going on the deck, you see all these extra guys coming up that wasn't behind her the first time, and you're like, well, where the hell all these people come from?
Yeah, and that was
I understand.
Yeah, that's the weakest part of the takeover, is they don't show where people came from. It's just what the fuck. Now, as far as her taking over the ship, the only way I could see that being without command codes is Lore. Before Lore got taken over by Data, Lore has overridden them already.
But that's also us making an assumption. That's
what I said. The only thing that I can think of is Lore has already, as he said, let's even the playing field. So he's already done that. But again, that's an assumption that has to be, there has to be some kind of deposition. Well, how the hell did she get control of the ship? Oh, well, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, so for me, the weakest part of the takeover was where the fuck did everybody else come from? Where did her small army come from? But it kind of fit. You kind of knew that's where it was going.
Yeah, and then probably Worf and Raffi will show up in a ship of their own and take down the Titan, and the Shrike is just floating in space because no one's on it except for Riker and Troy.
Comic Relief Crusaders said convenient how they forgot Riker and Troy garbage. It's the Federation's fault, no matter what. And that is a big problem in my mind. If that's the way they end up going, there's things that need to be explained in this episode that we haven't gotten an explanation for. And if we don't get an explanation for it by the time the show is over, or if it is not something that is acceptable, because I'm sick and tired of the Federation being evil and the Federation being the bad guys, no matter how you want to roll it at it, that's going to fuck up the whole thing. So, Dave Bob.
Well, I thought it was, like I said, contrived. You know, you happen to have Data Lore, you know, and he takes everything over and screws everybody's plans up. And that to me is just too damn convenient. I mean, that's just bad writing, in my opinion.
And Nerdporio Lifeform, good morning. He said Lauren Baddock are allies. They are allies of convenience.
Convenience.
The enemy of my enemy.
Contrivance.
Yes. Contrivance. 24. What did you think about the end of this episode?
Yeah, I thought a few things were pretty interesting. I know the whole lore thing. Yeah, I can honestly starting to look like maybe lore allowed Data to come back.
Oh,
that's another thing too, man. I was thinking like, you know, lore took control for so long. You know what? You know, that might be another thing to it. Also, he sat there listening to, you know, Geordi and probably allowed, you know, himself to do it instead of just being, you know, I don't know, man. It's just something doesn't smell right with that. It's just trying to figure it out. But as far as the end of the episode, I wasn't impressed really, man. You know, you actually, it kind of raises another question. It kind of lets me think, okay, well, what are we going to get next episode? And what we're going to get is a shitload of Rafi. So y'all, it's going to be between that and trying to save Rice. So it's going to be it, man. Yeah.
We
So
get an all Rafi episode after all, folks.
Oh boy. Oh yeah. That's definitely going to be a whole dealing with that. And then, you know, and then I was also curious how LaForge's daughter looked like she was getting ready to shoot Jack or some shit when he just saved her life. I don't know, man. That was kind of.
We haven't talked about this mind control shit that apparently Jack Crusher can do. That
like being a mental changeling, as it
right.
were.
Well,
So, you know, I guess we get to see an extent of what this power can do.
He just possessed LaForge's kid. So he possessed her. He basically controlled what she was doing, and she was like, "How the hell did you do that?" Well,
right. But, you know, I mean, it was crazy when you heard it. He was like, "Hey, roll around to your left," and she did. He was like, "Stand up, look at him," and she looked at him, and you know, pull out your gun and shoot, and you know, so it was like, it was, you know, it was interesting to see, you know, like it was like was it more of a taking over, or was it more of a suggestion, and she just followed his shit to the T?
That's the way I took it. 24,
right? Because of him explaining it instead of him just doing it, but at the same time, he was kind of like on the other side of the fence, kind of mimicking what he would have done, so that she can see what he was doing because he couldn't actually do it himself. You know, I don't know. It was just kind of wild as shit, man. I was like, look at that. It was like on some, you know, like he has the ability to make somebody mimic his own abilities.
Like a mental version of a changeling.
I was thinking the exact same thing, Shanatsky. I remember when I put that disc in for the first time and loaded up that intro, and you see Locutus talking to Picard, and he's like, you will escort us to Sector 001, and Picard's like, nope, bitch, and he's in the Sovereign. So it was, yeah, absolutely. They've already done that. It was called Star Trek Armada. So they bring Locutus back. The Borg used Dominion cloning technology to bring Picard back, and they create another Locutus to fight Picard. So yeah, they've done that. They've already done that. Ryan Roger Athe, what do you think about the end of this episode?
Well, they were trying to build up tension as we were approaching the end of the episode with Vadic's monologue after taking over the ship. And for me, it completely fell flat. Episodic television, whatever you want to call it, has really just gone away. That's why they call it part nowadays. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4. It just goes to show, ladies and gentlemen, I use this example with Loki in the green room or backstage. Season 3 of Picard is like Mass Effect Andromeda. It's an okay to meh science fiction product, but it's not its namesake. Mass Effect Andromeda is not Mass Effect, and Star Trek Picard is not Star Trek, just like the Dark Age of Star Trek is not Star Trek. And we're going to get another 7 years of this, nearing or just over 2 decades of it. And yeah, I'm not watching any more form of new Trek after this season. It was very bad.
All right. I think that there are a lot of things that I agree with. Nerporeal Lifeform makes a comment up here that says the series has lost a lot of respect for a lot of respect for a lot of content creators. In my opinion, whether you like it or dislike it, people are going to like what they enjoy and what they don't enjoy. My problem, Nerdporeal, is when people are screaming at each other, when people are trying to put down other creators for liking something or not liking something. I think there's a line that you don't cross, and that is you don't go after people, just like the recent Robert Meyer Burnett and DC issue. There's lines you don't cross, and there's stupid shit you don't do.
It would be great to get Loki and Nerdy on a show together, and hopefully reality-based makes that possible. Fingers crossed. Shameless plug, I know.
Shameless, Ryan. Absolutely shameless. There's parts of the show that I've liked. There's parts of it I don't like. I think that's there with everything. However, if they do not explain some shit and they do not get down to the nitty-gritty, brother, I'm gonna be pissed, and it's gonna lose. I'm gonna be in the negatives. Just to bring the average down, because you've got to have a coherent season, and it has to. There's stuff that has to be explained and has to make sense. If not, you are a JJ style creator, and Terry Metalis will go down in history as a JJ type because he sold us mystery boxes with no explanation of what and where and how and why. Last Star Trek things I watched were DS9 and Voyager. There was a lot of Enterprise I liked, Gun Buddy, and there was some Enterprise I didn't like. I got labeled as a Klingon because I thought it was very boring and there wasn't enough pew pew. There wasn't enough pew pew in it. I wanted fights to the death, and there wasn't enough pew pew. Although there were some interesting episodes of the first couple of seasons, I didn't really jump into it until the last season. I completely missed the weird Attack on Earth thing, the 9/11 Star Trek, the Xindi shit. I completely missed that the first time. I just happened to turn Star Trek on one day, and guess what? Archer's standing there in Kirk's uniform talking to the crew, and I was like, what in the shit is going on? Then I find out it's all mirror universe, and I was like, oh, all right, I can why is Archer wearing Kirk's old tunic? Loki the Klingon, I could see that. Oh yeah, burn it all down for the Empire. Yeah, oh yeah.
Let's slip the dogs of war.
That's right. Ask why people like it. I hear it's because it's not as woke is the reason. I think it's because it's familiar. So let me break this down for you. You've got familiar characters acting like familiar characters. Crusher's acting like Dr. Crusher. She's saying things Dr. Crusher would say. Worf has changed, but he's still Worf. He's still like, I will go into battle like a spinning top, and you will fear my batleth, bitches. Riker is very much Riker. The opening stuff with Riker and Picard, the back and forth really reminded me of some of the writing between Kirk, Spock, and Bones. So there's a familiarity to this that we see with these characters, but then there's Alien. The storyline is Alien. This the lighting, the way things look, there are alien things to this that we're like, okay, do we get used to this, or we just say it's crap?
And the cursing.
And the cursing, you don't do that.
Yeah,
You
space
just don't.
is brighter than the ships, than the interior of the ships. I found that odd.
So I just think there's a familiarity, a familiarity with people, and that's what they're seeing, and that's what they're feeling. The stuff with Geordi and Data, and his reaction, that gets to people. The stuff with Seven and Voyager, in the last episode, where Seven's talking about that's where I was reborn. People that love 7 of 9, they want that, and they didn't get that with Picard season 2. It was this alien 7 of 9, and they didn't get that. Scissoring, yeah, the scissoring hens. We didn't get that. And I think people are seeing that. The dialogue, and you're right, the dialogue is different too, because you've got different writers, but it's I think it's that familiarity that people are latching onto, because guess what? Yeah, we got Pecker Spock in season whatever of Discovery, but that wasn't Spock. He didn't act like Spock. He didn't talk like Spock. These are the genuine articles from TNG. This isn't someone stepping in and acting like them, or trying to talk like them, or trying to have their mannerisms. These are them. And I think that is what has brought people back. And some people absolutely do not want any of the newness of it all.
No,
they don't want any of the newness of it all. They don't want any of the dialogue. They don't want any of the writing. They don't want any of the dark ship. And they hate that the characters they love and they're familiar with is like a slap in the face. So when you hear that, oh, well, guess what? We might get William Shatner in the last episode for 2 minutes, coming back as Captain Kirk. They absolutely hate that, because they don't want the characters they love, played by the actors they love, to be a part of this, because then it legitimizes it. And you get what you've got right now, because you've got people that love it and you've got people that hate it, and the people that love it have that familiar feeling and they enjoy that familiar feeling and they like that familiar feeling. And then you've got the people that are like, this is all a slap in the face to everything that made Trek great, to Gene Roddenberry, to all of this. I hate that these people are doing this. They've sold out for a paycheck. It's too dark. It's too dystopian. It's too this. It's too that. And neither side is completely wrong or completely right about their arguments. There is this middle ground there, where you've got good points, you've got good points, and you've got stupid ass points, and you're acting like a dumbass by saying anybody who likes this a shill or a CBS freak or blah 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 blah. So I think it all comes down to that familiarity with
and
characters.
Loki, if I may,
folks, hanging
Go
together.
ahead, Ramblin'.
I think another thing that as a fandom we have to remember, right? Because some of us get lost. Like, for instance, me in wrestling, or Loki in Star Wars, or you have different entry points for every fan. Okay, different entry points. So someone who the first Trek they saw was Kirk will probably 9 times out of 10 always be their captain.
Yep.
Right? That will Captain Kirk will be the man, no matter what. They could bring out the best captain Star Trek has ever seen, and the person will look at you and go, "He ain't no fucking Kirk," right? and that's fine because of the entry point. If somebody entered in TNG, that could be Picard. Now, does the person who likes Kirk and will die on the hill that Kirk was the best captain Star Trek has ever seen, or the person who entered during DS9 and went, Cisco, dum there's Cisco, right? The entry point.
Mm-hmm.
Also, how much did they get involved? Right? There are Star Trek fans that read every book in print or as close to it as they could, right?
I had
There
all
are
the
some that
technical
watch the
manuals and
movies, and that's it.
schematics at home. I had all the technical manuals and schematics at home.
Yeah. So there are those fans. And then you have the fans that, you know what? They caught an episode here or there
Mm-hmm.
and they watched the movies. That's it. But
You
one
know what
isn't more valid than the other. It's just a different fan. And it's just a
Mhm.
different entry point. So they're going to have different takes on different things because something that offends a diehard will not offend a casual.
Hmm. Agreed.
No, I agree with that. Let's go around the room one last time. We're going to get final thoughts on this episode and score. We will start with Ryan, Roger, Afe. We're going to move clockwise around the room. So, Ryan, tell us what you thought about this episode and give us a score for it.
Well, solid start, and it all went downhill as soon as the changelings got on the ship. This episode was not as good as the last one, in my view, and the last one wasn't as good as the episode before that. So I'm going to give episode 7 of Picard season 3 a 5 out of 10. It wasn't god-awful. It was okay to meh. More on the meh side, especially during the end. And hopefully they get their ass in gear, but not if Raffi's the main focal point of episode 8. That's
Keep
my
saying
view.
that. Every episode you say that Rafi's going to be the focal point because the last time you did that, the episode was great that followed it. So just keep saying that because
it was much better. So here's to Raffi episode 8, sponsored by Innocent Futures.
Mr. Tickle Trunk with a $5.50 super chat says a lot of people get something different than I do out of the show. Fan service does nothing for me, so it's been a 5 out of 10 so far. But that's me, and that's okay. Absolutely. Absolutely, Mr. Tickle Trunk. He also says with $2.20 super chat, Card Season 3 is baby steps back from the abyss. I will agree with that. But the story's got to bring it. The story has to bring it. If they do not, if Terry Metalis does not have me sold by the last episode, then all episodes in this suffer for that. That's just the way it's going to go. You better have something more than just pew pew and explosions at the end of this for me to take this seriously. And that's just the way it is.
The name of the last episode is The Last Generation. So take that however you want to, ladies and gentlemen.
Ryan, what is your score?
5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. All right. 24/7 Fusion. Brother from another mother. Tell me what you think and give me a score, my man.
Man. Compared to last episode after the last few episodes, this has actually wasn't that great. You get to see it was a little more insightful, but the execution wasn't that good. And I don't know, they could have done it better than this. But I'm not, I haven't given up hope. It's just this episode wasn't that good. But I'm not going to say that it was completely, dog shit. At least you get to figure out a few things. But now you're just waiting to see which direction it goes from here. So that's about as much as I can go with it. And as far as rating it, I'll give this thing. Shit, man, this thing gets a 5, man.
Oh,
yeah. All right. Dave Bob.
Well, I'll have to say overall the episode really sucked in my opinion. Like I said, it was too much contrivances. And my biggest disappointment in the whole thing was when Vatic was talking to the Hound, and the Hound said, "Get one of them to, or have one of them flayed and skinned alive in front of the other one." I wanted to see Troy get skinned alive, but that's just me.
My goodness, Dave.
No,
Marina Sirtis is a bitch.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. But overall, I'm gonna give it a 1 because in my opinion, it was very bad, very bad.
All right. Yeah, Dave Bob gives it a 1. Damn, that's the lowest score you've given an episode so far.
Yep.
Rambling Canuck.
All right. So for me, I don't have the same issue with the whole the problem with the changelings being tortured at Daystrom. I don't. And the reason I say that is because they didn't say this was recent. This was during the Dominion War.
Yes.
And let us not forget, the Federation was willing to eradicate the entire changeling planet, just wipe them out with a disease, a virus. So it is not a leap for me to believe that if they are willing to commit genocide, that they wouldn't be willing to bend a few rules here and there.
Do anything.
Because you got to remember, during DS9, and Loki can correct me if I'm wrong, the Federation was desperate at one point.
But they didn't create the virus. Section 31 created the virus.
Yeah.
Starfleet Intelligence wouldn't let them do any research or have any information because they were going to do well, you know what? It's what's done is done. Let the chips fall where they may. We didn't make it, but we're not going to do anything to stop it either.
Yeah, exactly. But again, they were willing to go that far, right? They were willing to do it, right? So, you know, just because an atomic bomb that could wipe out the entirety of Europe exists, the fact that you use it doesn't make you less evil, in my opinion, right? So for me, it is not a stretch during that era. I mean, we have seen great countries, great people do terrible, terrible things in desperation.
That's for sure.
And we tend to sugarcoat it, especially when you look back in history. We tend to look with rose-colored glasses and go, we did everything we could. We were forced to do it. That's usually the excuse. We were forced to do it. But if we were looking at it through the other lens, it would be, what a horrific thing that they did. But because it's us, or it's the quote-unquote good side, it's excusable because they had no other choice. And for me, if you go back to that time frame within the Star Trek continuum, I don't put it past them. Not at all. I don't. They're fighting for their very survival. If they're willing to eradicate an entire civilization,
or let it happen
without going, hey, we're above that shit, what the fuck? That's not how we roll. They were allowed, they let it happen. And for that alone, I mean, we seen in DS9 that they're not above, Cisco tricked the Romulans into joining the war, right? You know, if that had been on the other side, that would have been how evil of them to do that shit. But because it was on our side, it was for the greater good, my friend, for the greater good. And we tend to put things into these boxes. But anyway, my long diatribe. So for that side, I don't have as big of an issue as Loki does.
Mhm.
I understand where Loki's coming from. I just don't, as a person who's combed through history, I just don't. So for me, that's not a big issue. Jack is my biggest concern right now going forward. The whole, Vulcan mind trick without having to do a meld. What the fuck? So he's my biggest concern right now. And how they wrap and tie that into a bow will be interesting.
He's the mystery box.
Yeah, he's the mystery box of all mystery boxes. The Data lore stuff is intriguing. It is interesting as a Data. I was always a fan of the Data character and the lore character. So for me, it's like, right on. Get this motherfucker on my screen. Thank you. Less of Raffi, the better. Although the less of this the less of this bad guy, the better. Let's get to the big bad already, please. Thank you. Can she just get airlocked and then we find the big bad because he's got to come replace her? So for me, it's a 6, which is my lowest score of season 3. But I expect it. I expect a couple of them. Because you remember back in TNG days, Loki, you'd have like 3 weeks to like a month of, I could have missed this episode and not missed a goddamn thing.
They were episodic back then. It didn't connect. You might catch like one episode from 2 seasons ago that connected to it, but they didn't connect each
No,
week,
they didn't connect the dots. No, but you had those. Oh my goodness. I just wasted an hour of my life.
Yeah, well, you've got to remember that in a 22.
That's what I mean.
Season,
they had 22 episodes, so you had a lot more of them.
Yeah,
but
you're going to have a bunch of misses.
You have 10, yes, but they're not all going to be blockbusters. And to expect them to be all blockbusters is just because you can't hold an audience at a 10. For that long of a period. You just
Rambling enjoyed Picard season 1.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I hated the flowers in space, though. They can go fuck themselves.
Okay. I'm going to do this a little differently, and I've never done this like this before. But this is the way I have to do this episode. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it a point for Tim Russ being on this show. So I like the interaction, even though he ended up not being Tuvok and being a changeling. I did like that interaction, and I did like them playing the Voyager music. And to me, that's got some respect behind it. That's some love for the characters. I'm gonna give it a point for the interaction between Geordi and Data, and for lore, because I think both of those things. I can't help but smile every time I see Lore and he looks up and he's like, "It's me, bitches." I love how chaotic and chaos Lore can be, and I'm going to give it a point for
no Raffi.
No Raffi. So, and I can't think of anything else. I really can't. Everything else was either blah or I think it's shit. So they better up the ante because it's the lowest score they've gotten from me. I don't like this. Federation is bad, blah blah blah. And that's why I had to look at it like this, because I had to look at it like I've got to give it a couple points for the things I liked in it, and then there's just nothing else really. There's nothing else really there that was that interesting this week. It was a filler. It was run around on the ship, and there was some really stupid shit in this episode. So That's it. And guys, we are 40 minutes past the hour. I want to thank Ryan Roger Athe for being here. Thank you, my friend.
It's great to be here.
I'd like to thank 24/7 Fusion for being here, brother.
Yeah, blow that shit up.
Blow that shit up. Dave Bob, the Rooster Dave Bob. I know he hates this fucking show, but he's here anyway, and I really appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
Hell yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you having me.
Rambling Canuck, brother, thank you for taking the time. And know these go a little longer than normal, so I really appreciate you being here.
Anytime, my brother. Anytime.
And Arwen Avalon. Arwen Avalon was here earlier. I want to thank her for being here. And X-Wing slides in at the end. Always wind up here at the end. Well, thank you for winding up here anyway, brother. I appreciate it. Guys, catch us next week. We should be back. I haven't heard anything from Mexican Iron Mike yet. So we should be back later tonight for the late show. If not, I will leave a message in the community tab. Until then, take care. Be excellent to each other. Always speak friend enter. Well, guys, catch you on the next Picard review next Friday. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.
Take her easy.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.